Evening, John. How you doing?
Good. Nice to see you.
So, I don't know if you can see the comments. Hi, folks. Nice to see you all. Welcome to another live stream. Tonight we've got Mr. John Spendley. I'm just going to see if maybe I need to put the gallery view on so you can see us both at the same time. Can you see Mr. John Spendley? Let us know in the comments. It's a bit tricky here. Oh yeah, I can see you here. Brilliant. So John, John's a musician from the London area, a musician and a singer. He specialises in rock and roll. So it's great to have you on the show, John. Lovely to see you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So tell us a little bit about your musical journey and what's going on with your gigs at the moment, please.
Yeah, well, I'm a bit late bloomer to the guitar. I never started till I was maybe in my late 20s, finishing up college or university in Glasgow. And I really wanted to get going playing because I thought I could sing. I had no experience, but then I went out and I bought an acoustic guitar at McCormick's Music, which was a very popular store. And within a year or so, I was out gigging around Ireland, playing solo, duos and trios. And then a few years later, I came to London and played lots of the London Irish scene. And at that time, it was the mid-90s. It was very, very busy. And I became quite an accomplished singer and guitarist, but I just knew your typical cowboy chords, and strummed away. And then I started playing to backing tracks and stuff like that. Yeah, that's how I sort of got into it. And I was doing lots of Irish, folky, country stuff and a little bit of rock and roll.
But you're back gigging again, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah. Even though I'm a bit of an old man, 6 years ago I had a boy, and I kind of then stopped the gig and knocked it on its head for a little bit, which I have done periodically through my playing career. I've had, I went out to Australia and I stopped for about 18 months, 2 years, mainly because I couldn't get into the scene. It was very closed. But various times I've stopped playing for a little while. But yeah, I had a boy, so then I had 3 years of really looking after him and not playing guitar at all, really. Very basic playing. Then we had COVID. Then last year I got a chance to do 4 or 5 solo gigs, and it gave me the taste for it. And I've already done about 6 or 7, 8 bookings already this year, and I've got another 30 booked.
Brilliant.
And more coming in. Yeah.
Good for you.
So
where
yeah.
are you gigging just now? Where can people see you?
Probably northwest London, Harrow, Ruislip. Quite a few venues are in Harrow, Wealdstone, North Harrow. I was over in Palmer's Green on Saturday night there. I'm in North Harrow on Sunday night. Yeah, but all fairly local. West London, Northwest London is very popular. And I'm still doing the sort of London Irish scene. So there's 2 or 3 Irishy kind of songs in the set. And I don't mean fiddly D stuff. It's more like the Waterboys or Saw Doctors, maybe the Pogues.
I love all that stuff myself. I think the Waterboys are actually, although they play kind of Irish stuff, they're kind of Scottish, aren't they?
Yeah,
not that I'm trying to.
No, the Scottish, and I think they kind of got going over in Galway or the west coast of Ireland. Obviously, went and got a wee bit of influence, but yeah, but there's Scottish. I can't think of the singer's name off the top of my head, but yeah, it's definitely Scottish. I think up your neck of the woods somewhere.
I think he's from Fife, maybe. I think he went to Edinburgh. I think he was at school in Edinburgh.
Yeah.
But, Nigel's saying he loves the Pogues.
Yeah, I saw the Pogues in the Barrowland. Oh, I don't know how many years ago. What a night for New Year's Eve.
I imagine they would have been celebrating quite hard.
Well, the funniest bit was everybody's got plastic pint glasses, and when the first song came on, they all went up in the air, maybe 2,000 pints in the air. Raining Tennent's Lager.
That's great. So tell us a bit about your setup, John. How do you operate?
So I'm out. I've got an electric guitar. I used to use acoustic and electric, and typically now I'm out solo. I've got backing tracks. Some of them are old backing tracks that I used to put together myself through MIDI files, and then the technology sort of progressed a little bit, and I was out with not MIDI files, but the mini discs for a while, those little mini CDs. And now it's all on my phone,
Right.
So all my backing tracks are completely played off my phone. If new songs, it's a bit difficult. I used to have the songbooks and stuff, the big folders. I don't have any of that anymore. I've got a small mixer and a small portable PA, probably 300-400 watts worth. I have bigger PA if I've got a bigger venue, where I've got a subwoofer and stuff like that. But it's basically 4 or 5 bags, including my guitar, in the back of the car, and I can be set up in about 15 minutes, 20 minutes, taking it easy, and I'm ready to go. Typically, I'm doing a 1 hour set, 15-minute break, and then another 1 hour set. Or sometimes I'm maybe a bit less than that, But
and if somebody is watching this and they were thinking about getting into doing a bit of gigging, what would your advice be? How would they sort of get going?
And I think one of the things is that you've got to like the songs that you're doing. If I talk about your set list, but the thing is, you can go out and play what you like, but you're not anybody famous, and people typically aren't coming to see you in the beginning. They're just going to the pub. So you have to get yourself a good mix of stuff that people want to hear, and I think you need a good variety, for the general pub, like I'm playing, you need to have a few country, a few rock and roll, a few 60s, 70s, a few Irish type of tunes. You need a good mix. So if somebody says to you, can you play such and such, and you haven't got that, but you might have something in that same genre, that's enough. Usually you'll find somebody will come to the end of the night and say, oh, I love that version of that one song. And you only done 2 or 3 songs in that style, maybe a Johnny Cash song.
Right.
But that's kind of made their night because they've heard something like or something by their favourite artist. So you need a good 30, 40 songs to get going. Typically 12, 13 songs, maybe 15 if you're doing more rock and roll for a set. There is a few agents out there. It's hard work knocking on the doors of the pubs, but it's definitely worth, having a wee business card. I've made a couple of little short video or demo reels, show reels.
Right.
And so a couple of people, I've showed it to them.
You walk into the pub with
I walked in and I just say, how you doing? Do you do any music? Usually I know they do music, and I'll show. I said, oh, this is me. There's my card, and they can have a little look. And sometimes I've been in and they've said, oh, I saw you in another venue, or I heard you about you, and so and some of the pubs are connected. There is an organisation, events, something or another that a lot of pubs use now, and you can actually go on their website and they'll have gigs advertised. You can register with them if you want to go at it more professionally. Have you heard of them?
What are they called, sorry, John?
Events. I think something like Events UK, and they're all over the UK. They've got gigs all over the UK.
I'm on Freak Music, so but they'll be the same kind of idea. So you're registered with an agent, John, and you get.
I'm registered with them, but I've only ever done a couple of bookings through them. But I have another guy who used to work like me for another agent, but he packed it in a long time ago. And this chap in the last couple of years has sort of taken it over, so he's helping me get some bookings as well. And a lot of the pubs are connected. Like locally here, we've got a family that own probably about a dozen pubs. The brother's got 3, the daughter's got 2.
Right.
And that's fairly common. You'll find that they don't typically be one-man shots, or shops. They'll have connections. And when I go to a pub and I'll ask them, do they know of anybody else? And I try and get a name, and I try and get a number. And I've walked in cold. I walked in cold a few months ago to a pub that I used to play in years ago. It's under new management, new owners. And the girl says, "Oh, I normally go through this agent." And I said, "Well, look, here's my card with the wee chat." And the next day she phoned me and gave me 4 bookings.
Brilliant.
So I was like, wow, great, you know.
I suppose being on your own, it's quite a good setup for the pub because you don't take up a lot of room. It's quick and you're pretty cost effective probably. You provide music for the venue, but it's not like having a band necessarily where you've got 4 musicians to cover. If you're a solo artist, that's definitely going to be an advantage.
Yeah, it can be an advantage for the pub, and it's got a bit more popular. But I think it's harder for the musicians because you're by yourself. It's lonely,
Yeah.
and if you're having a tough night,
how do you deal with that, John? How do you deal with the hecklers and stuff?
I think you give them a little bit back with a smile. Like I had somebody, because most people it's just a bit of banter, and he said, "Oh, who's this CUNT?" And I just came straight back at him, had a wee joke back at him. And next minute he's laughing and he's clapping every time he passes in the way to the bathroom, and it was a great night. And that was a kind of quiet pub, and then they've not had music in there for years. And I was only the second act back in there, but don't be too shy, and I actually sometimes pretend that it's going great. Even
so you don't rise to it.
Yeah, you kind of. I mean, in the back of your mind, you can think, okay, this is going to be a live practice. And if the crowd are really quiet and you're not getting them going for whatever reason, I always take that opportunity to try a few songs, that maybe I've been working on at home. I haven't quite got them right.
So use them as a sort of testing ground almost.
Yeah, well, it's not a testing ground for the crowd, for myself.
Aye, exactly.
Because, you're hearing it with your acoustic guitar at home, but you're not hearing it through 400 watts in a pub.
Are you up for any tunes tonight, John? I'm not going to put you on the
Oh, no, I wasn't thinking about anything like that, no.
But you're welcome to give us a little rendering if you wanted.
No, the wee fella's just got him off to sleep.
Right, yeah, that's fair enough. I've just put a thing on to see if anybody has any questions that's watching this. There's a few folk. So hello to Nigel, hello to Alan, hello to Matt, and greetings from Germany. Hello there. Hello Todd, hello Resden, hello Michael, hello Chris. Hi Mark. Mark's next door to me. In the pans. So he's had a nasty smash in his bike, unfortunately. I hope you're feeling a wee bit better, Mark. I know it's going to be a long road to...
He's not looking at his computer, he's looking in the window.
The bike. Sorry?
He's not on the computer, he's looking in the window.
That's it. So that's good.
Yeah, if anybody's got any questions...
What are the best bits about playing live, John? What would you say?
What's the best thing?
Aye.
Oh... I think it's one of these things you either want to do or you don't, You're not really going out there for the adoration, or any big ego. But when people say things nice to you at the end of it, I love that song, or love your voice, or I had a great night. It's just good. You're making people feel good. I suppose it's a bit like a comedian if he goes out and makes people laugh. And you're look, if you like music and you like good songs, you might not be playing excuse me, your top 30 favorite songs, but you're playing their top 30 favorite songs, or the top 2 favorite songs in the night. And it's just like if you're at a DJ gig and they play one of your favorite songs, you want to get up and dance, and you see that and you feel that in the crowd. Obviously, It gets a bit tough when they get a bit drunk and stuff like that, but usually it's a good night, and at the end of it, you're buzzing,
Have you got a website or a YouTube channel, John?
No, I don't. I have my sort of personal YouTube. I haven't developed it into much about my playing. It's funny. Someone's asking me a punter was asking me the other night there, a person who goes to the pub. For those who don't know that saying, was asking me, did I have a Facebook page? And actually many years ago I did. But I've not kind of kept up with the technology. But I think I will start doing a Facebook page or a Facebook advertising for myself.
Aye.
I'll let you know.
So I've got a few questions here, John. First one's from Chris Gregory. Where do you get your backing tracks, John? And is copyright a problem?
Hi, Chris. Initially, my backing tracks, I used to make them myself, MIDI files, and I'd make them. And I had a contact in Ireland who used to make them, and we would sometimes share between us. Other ones, there's now platforms out there that have copyright-free backing tracks, professional backing tracks. Some artists won't allow their backing tracks to be put up. I think you've got like Dire Straits, I think, are one in particular that's very difficult to get backing tracks for. But they've got to be specially approved. So if you're paying for them or paying through them like a subscription service, which I typically do, there is one platform that I use regular, and they can be similar to like a karaoke tracks. You can have them without karaoke, but I've got two apps that I use, and I'll just put my backing tracks on them. And lots of them can import lyrics, so you can have your lyrics up on the screen as well, and some of them will even scroll your lyrics. But most of the backing tracks, professional ones that are available to buy now, have bought them and acquired them over the years, and they're copyright free for me, but obviously the people supplying them are having to pay some kind of copyright. Thanks, Chris, for that.
No, that's great, John. Thanks very much. Got one from Nigel here. Nigel Conley. Do you get nervous, John, before playing? And if so, how do you deal with that?
Typically I don't get too nervous. If it's a new venue, like last Saturday was a new venue, you're unsure. So I would say rather than be nervous, you're a bit more apprehensive. I've always wanted to go out and stand in front of a microphone. That's why I bought a guitar. Brilliant. That's what I was going to do. And actually, I could sit here and play something now and you think, oh yeah, it's not bad. But if I stood up in front of a microphone, ready to go, I think it's in another level.
Heightens the whole performance, doesn't it? In a sense, because you've got that kind of nervous energy.
I think the biggest anxiety I have is my voice. How am I feeling? Is my voice feeling good tonight? Am I going to maintain my voice for singing for 2 hours? I think that's one of the toughest things, because we all could probably play guitar for 2 hours.
Yes.
But singing for 2 hours, so that's probably my biggest anxiety. So you're always worrying about getting the cold, or be rested enough, or have enough sleep.
That's a worry. Yeah, the cold. Yeah.
Yeah.
And COVID's not been too good for singers.
No, I have COVID twice, but fortunately it hasn't affected any of my gigs. It's landed in the middle.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So I suppose there's a couple of things I was going to ask. Is there anything that you would like to share about your musical journey that we've not spoken about?
Well, a little bit that I did in the beginning to get gigging. So going back to sort of your original question, was I was out on the west coast of Ireland, and I wanted to go out and gig, and I didn't know what songs to pick. What were those covers that I was going to get? And I actually went out, my local town, very small village, had lots of pubs, typical Ireland, and lots of bands at the weekend. And I went at the pub every night at the weekend, and I jotted down 2 or 3 songs from probably 4 or 5 of the most popular bands around. Songs that were very popular in the pub.
Right.
And I took a note of them.
Smart.
And so when I went out to gig, I felt I had like maybe 15 or 20 of the most popular songs around town.
Very smart, John.
And after my first gig, 3 weeks after my first gig, I was booked Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for a year.
Aye.
So
you've got to give the public what they want in these situations, don't you?
Yeah,
If you want to be
absolutely.
successful, that is. Yeah, that was very astute of you, John, and probably that kind of got you up and running very quickly because
It did.
a lot of
Within
people.
3 weeks. Within
Yeah,
3 weeks. My first official gig, what I remember was I was doing a New Year's Eve, and then my next gig was 11th of January. And by the time I went to do that 11th of January gig, I was booked solid for the whole year.
amazing.
And it was just because I was doing particular songs. Some of them were country, some were Irish, some were stuff like Creedence and a bit of Waterboys and Saw Doctors, a few American
Wagon
country.
wheel,
At that time, it was Garth Brooks and, you
wagon
know,
wheel.
oh, Wagon Wheel wasn't around in those days, or
That's
Galway Girl. But it was
uh,
like Fisherman Blues and Bang on the Ear,
well, that's a
Saw
good.
Doctors. I Used to Love Her,
Yeah,
N17, Brown Eyed Girl, Van Morrison, these kind of Irish stuff, Whiskey in the Jar, and then a
brilliant.
load of kind of country.
Got a question here from Andrew Thomas. What gear do you take on your gigs?
Gear, I've got a small effects pedal. I've got a Line 6 Stomp XL, which is the kind of bigger version of the Stomp box. I use about 4 or 5 sounds. I've got either my telly or I've got a PRS SE, which I bought probably about 6 months ago. Nice, solid, reliable guitar. I used to gig with this one for years, this Strat, which I got in 2001. But it's became a bit more precious to me, but really, I should be gigging out again. My PA, I've got a small Yamaha mixer, a Sennheiser microphone, a load of cables, and my PA is Wharfdale Active speakers. I absolutely love the Wharfdale. They're in a molded poly box. I've got a subwoofer that goes with them. They're crystal clear, they're powerful. I don't have to have a separate amp, and they're very, very reliable. I'm on my 3rd or 4th iteration of them over the last 20 years.
Right.
They're lightweight, really compact. As I said, I can throw them in the boot.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it's a very, very simple setup.
Fantastic. Well, thanks, John. That's great. There's one more question I've got, and it was really just if you were speaking to somebody who may be watching this, and they might be thinking, "Have I left it too late in life to start gigging?" What would you say to them?
No, absolutely not. I was 28, 29, maybe going on to 30 years old when I just started to play the guitar.
Right.
And a year or so later, I was out gigging. As I said earlier, I've had several breaks for years at a time. And then in that time, like I'm now 58. So going from 52 to 55, I wasn't playing guitar at all. Then we've had COVID, and it's really, so when I got to 56 and 57, I started doing a little bit gigging again. Now, of course, I'm not starting from the beginning, but you're a bit ring rusty. And then I started studying lead guitar just a year ago with yourself, Colin, doing the rock and roll. And so no, not at all. And actually, I see loads of ads for people who are in their 40s, 50s, 60s looking for similar-minded people. And I would highly recommend, if you're playing at home by yourself, put an ad in the paper or the shop window and find some other buddies. In a band, you will learn far faster. Playing with other people, they've got different ideas. They'll introduce you to different songs, different music. Instead of sitting home all day practicing scales, you can actually be out playing them as solos or.
That's the thing, yeah. And you get hundreds of opportunities to practice your improvisation when you're playing gigs.
Yeah. Because when I played out with a 5-piece band when I was in Australia a number of years ago, and it was actually easier to play with a band than it was to backing tracks, because the backing track if you missed your verse or your chorus, the backing track didn't come around again. It just kept going.
That's it, yeah.
Whereas with the band, if you missed your intro to the verse or whatever it is, they would all know it, and they would just repeat that chord progression, and you come back in when you're ready. Or if you were into a great guitar solo or keyboard solo, you could just keep it going. And typically, you know, when we had the band, if we had a 3-minute song, we always made it 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, so that you had less. You just do the chorus a few times, maybe repeat a verse, a second guitar solo.
It's much more
and you
fun,
learn so much faster.
Yeah. I find backing tracks, you know, certainly, you know, if you're learning it solo and stuff like that and jam, it's quite boring actually. You know, it's much more fun to actually play with live people. You get much more spontaneity, and you know, your playing improves and all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
The dynamics are very different.
Yeah.
You know, the way that the other people are playing, you know, the drummer could be just slightly pushing the beat and it makes the whole song feel a little bit different, you know, or the bass player's doing something like that. And it just can give a whole new dimension and spark, you know, better improvisation, better ideas. But it's great, you know, and when you're with the band and you pull it all together and you all finish at the same time, everybody kind of looks around and goes, yeah, well, we did it, you know. When the backing track finishes, there's nobody to share any emotion with, you know.
I think sometimes the backing tracks, especially if they're based on the kind of original songs, you know, some of the arrangements of certainly things like, you know, I remember auditioning for an 80s band and I had to learn to play things like Tears for Fears to a backing track, and the introduction's so bizarre, you know, the timing's so bizarre. If you don't get it bang on, you know, you've got that you know,
Yeah.
you never get it, you know. So yeah, I think it's much easier playing with a live band.
Yeah, because and with the live band, you know, you don't necessarily have to be like the record. You know, you don't have to have it note for note. You can have your own flavour of it.
That's right.
You know,
got a couple of more questions here, John. So one's from Todd Bell. What instruments do you know how to play?
I think I know how to play the guitar reasonably well.
I do now for sure, yeah.
I've actually started playing the ukulele. I bought a ukulele last year because from a little boy, and I'm teaching him a little bit.
Brilliant.
And the ukulele is great fun. You know, I wish I had one of them when I was a kid. I can play a little bit of keyboards, a little bit of piano. I've not been trained, but I do know chords and scales in the keyboard. Mm-hmm. And when I was programming backing tracks back in the day, it was on a keyboard. I had a professional keyboard. But it's not something that I practice very regularly. Funny, I was thinking about it today. I need to take some time and sit down and learn a few things on the piano. But you know, if I sat down now, I could work out a tune in minutes. You know, but not play it like Elton John. But I could, if there was a band in the room, I could probably jam along with them. Certainly play the chords and a bit of melody. That's like doing this.
Yeah, that's all you need. That's all you need.
Yeah.
So that's great. So Alan Scott's asking, have you ever gigged in sunny Scotland?
Yes, I have. Yeah. A long time ago. Yeah. I've got a few friends around the Paisley area, and I have done a few gigs with them. And they're doing similar stuff to what I'm doing out in the solo scene and playing around. I don't know if they're all still doing it now, but yeah, I have played with a few boys up there and a few venues around Paisley.
Brilliant.
But not for a while.
Thank you for your information. So brilliant. Well, thank you so much, John. That's been a wonderful discussion.
Thank you.
Really enjoyed chatting away to you, as I always do. It's always informative. I learned a few things tonight. I didn't know about all the technical stuff on your setups and stuff, so that was really good. So thanks very much. And yeah, delight to speak to you. Any gigs that we can advertise where you're going to play?
Do you know, Sunday I'm in, I think it's the Wishing Well or something like that, in North Harrow. But there's a few similar pubs up there, but I don't know. There's probably not many viewers. You've got viewers from Germany and all over the world. Yeah,
I think. Well, I think there will be some from the London area on, and certainly they might not be watching this live, but we get a lot of people watch afterwards.
Yeah, but if there's anybody in the West London, North London sort of area want to get in touch with me, absolutely, because I do keep thinking about toying the idea of getting another project on the go, or a rehearsal project with some guys and getting together and jamming, or even if it's just around somebody's house or backyard.
Yeah,
I might be up for some of that.
Fantastic. So anyone who wants to get in touch with John, you can always drop me a line and I can pass the information.
Absolutely.
No worries at all. Well, thank you very much, John. So the only thing I was going to say tonight is there's a couple of new courses coming through. So we're going to be doing a course in guitar effects in the rock and roll programme. So that's something to look forward to. And we're also going to be doing some songwriting. We're going to have a songwriting group that's going to run for about 10 weeks. And we'll try and get 10 songs in 10 weeks from everyone that takes part. So that's something, if folk are watching and interested, drop me a line. You can see my email address in the description to the video. And also we've got the second rock and roll retreat in Mackenzie on the 24th of June. So there's a link to that for anyone that's wanting to come along to that. If you're in Scotland, it's easy. It's not so easy if you're in London, but it's usually pretty good. So yeah, there's bands all day and stuff like that. So it's a great place, and Mackenzie is a great place. But yeah, thanks, John. It's been a pleasure to see you.
Thank you
once again, and thanks to everyone that's been watching. Great to see you all. And we'll be back soon. I don't know if we'll be back next week, but we'll be back at some